The Nazis called her the most dangerous of all Allied spies. Reward posters bearing her face, one of her faces at least, were plastered across France, yet despite this, the Gestapo officer in charge of her case, Klaus Barbie, the infamous butcher of Lyon, never even learned her real name. He would refer to her as that limping Canadian bitch, but she wasn't Canadian at all. Her real name was Virginia Hall, an American spy who tormented the Nazis and spirited hundreds of Allied soldiers to safety. And she did it all with only one leg. After losing her leg in a hunting accident in Turkey, Hall was rejected by the U.S. State Department, which deemed her unfit for foreign service. Undeterred by this, she channeled her linguistic talents, knowledge of European customs, and fierce determination into a clandestine career that would make her one of the biggest targets of the Gestapo's most wanted list. Working first with the British Special Operations Executive and later with the American Office of Strategic Services, Hall made occupied France her base of operations. She orchestrated escape routes for Allied troops, coordinated with French resistance groups, and established a web of safe houses that became lifelines for the underground. The Germans knew her only as the Limping Lady, a mysterious figure whose wooden leg, which she nicknamed Cuthbert, never slowed her down. When the net began to close in around her in 1942, Hall executed a harrowing escape across the Pyrenees into Spain, trekking through the snowy mountains in an arduous journey that nearly cost her her life. But her most audacious chapter was yet to come. In 1944, she convinced her OSS superiors to let her return to France, this time landing by boat on the Brittany coast just months before D-Day. Disguising herself as an elderly peasant woman, she established a base in central France where she trained and armed resistance fighters, coordinated sabotage operations against German supply lines, and gathered crucial intelligence. Her networks proved instrumental in softening German defenses ahead of the Allied invasion, yet her contributions remain largely classified and thus unrecognized for decades. After the war, Hall joined the newly formed CIA, where she faced the frustrating reality of a male-dominated intelligence community that often relegated even its most experienced female operatives to desk work. So, despite her unparalleled field experience, she spent much of her post-war career in administrative roles, a talented operative constrained by the gender biases of her era. By the time of her death in 1982, however, she had received at least some public recognition for her wartime service, including the Distinguished Service Cross, making her the only civilian woman to receive this honor for her work during World War II. Today, we can recognize her story for what it really was, a reminder of the countless unsung heroes whose contributions shaped history from the shadows. You're listening to History Uncovered, where we explore the uncharted corners of the natural world and the world past. I'm All That's Interesting staff writer Austin Harvey.
And I'm All That's Interesting staff writer Kalina Fraga.
And today we're discussing the exciting behind-the-scenes story of clandestine World War II operative Virginia Hall.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I messed up last time. I said, I wrote something about her for the site recently. I had not written anything about her for the site. I was thinking Virginia Hill.
Oh.
Who was a female mobster in like the 20s.
Oh, this is Virginia Hall.
And this is Virginia Hall.
I see.
So I started putting this together and I was like, oh, I actually don't know this story.
Brand new information.
It is a very interesting story though. Virginia Hall was a very well-educated woman coming up, obviously in a turbulent time because the Second World War happened as she entered sort of full adulthood, we'll say. And there's a lot of power dynamics regarding gender at play here and the way that her career played out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really interesting story. But we'll start from the beginning. She was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1906 to a wealthy family in the affluent neighborhood of Roland Park. Like I said, she was very well educated. So she attended Radcliffe College from 1924 to 1926. And then Barnard College, which she graduated from in 1929 to study French, Italian, German, and economics.
Wow. It's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's very interesting, the languages she studied in the context of not knowing that a war was going to break out involving these major players.
I guess she had lived through World War I.
Yeah, I was about to say, granted, there had just been one, but I think coming out of that one, I don't think a lot of people were like, in another 15 years, there'll be another one.
Right, yeah.
I think it was, the hope was that was the one, right?
The Great War. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, French, Italian, those are similar, but German is so different. And economics.
Yeah. Yeah, French and Italian, both Romance languages, so not French, Italian, Spanish, all sort of same
Yeah, they're pretty
Latin
similar.
roots. But yeah, German is a weird language.
Deutsch, very hard.
Comparatively.
Yeah. I've been trying to learn German for a while, and it's really hard.
It seems tough.
Yeah.
It seems tough.
It is hard.
But after college, Virginia Hall, she then travels to Europe, spend time in France, Austria, and Poland, then went back to the U.S. for graduate studies at both George Washington University and American University.
Wow.
And then further advanced language studies in Paris, Vienna, and Strasbourg.
Gosh.
There's a lot of language study.
Yeah, it's like kind of a crazy.
Yeah.
I would think she'd be fluent by then, but that's amazing.
Right. I guess if you're learning multiple languages at once, a lot harder than just learning a single.
And she lived in places where they spoke French, German.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost wonder what the intention was in career path wise. Though I guess she was a woman coming up in the 1930s, so maybe there wasn't much career path.
It seems sort of like a unique story that she would have been this educated at this time.
Right.
So widely, too. Europe and everything.
Yeah. But it's just like language studies in particular at this point in time would be a very interesting trajectory regardless.
Maybe just kind of something as her family was wealthy, and as an elite kind of, you sort of you speak multiple languages.
That's true. I am forgetting about the wealthy privilege here.
It always helps.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair, yeah. What had ended up happening initially was that she worked as a consular clerk at the American Embassy in Warsaw. So sort of makes sense that the way that would go. But she, again, very unique, diverse person. Also, this probably involves coming up in a wealthy family at the early 20th century, was a big hunter.
Okay.
And so in 1933, she and some friends went on a hunting trip in Smyrna, Turkey, during which she tripped on a fence and accidentally shot herself in the foot with a shotgun.
Ugh. Oof.
Which is pretty brutal.
Yeah, that's no good.
No, not good at any point in time, especially not good in 1933.
No.
Because the wound very quickly turned gangrenous and resulted in her leg being amputated.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
Yeah. So
that's horrible.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bump in the road, a little damper on things. To help her walk, they just gave her a wooden prosthetic leg.
I guess that's all they really had then.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
Huh.
She named it Cuthbert as well.
Is that have meaning at all, or just a...
Yeah, so a little behind the scenes for the listeners, our site editor, John, he checks over our outlines before we do the recording, and he asked me, do you know why she called it Cuthbert? And I was like, you know what? No, I don't. I didn't follow up on that. And so I quickly did some searching. Cuthbert was the name of a saint, though I don't know. She never specified whether it was related to the saint.
It's like the saint of missing legs or something like that.
No, you'd think. Saint Cuthbert is the patron saint of holiness, wisdom, and many miracles.
Oh.
But that's also just an assumption, and no one knows if that's actually what she named it Cuthbert for, or if it was some other unrelated thing. She never spoke about it, and any verifiable, reliable source I found was yeah, no, it's kind of just a mystery. We don't know why.
So interesting.
She called it that.
She's so educated, I feel like she would have had reasons.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, a lot of people jumped to the saint thing. I don't know of any other famous Cuthberts throughout history. I could also be pronouncing that wrong. It could be Cuthbert, but
she might just have liked the name and thought it was, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could very easily just be that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Could have just been a sense of humor. I mean, naming the leg in the first place is already a little bit funny.
Yeah.
But it did unfortunately dampen her career prospects at a certain point, because she applied to the U.S. Foreign Service and then was rejected due to what they cited as physical deficiency. And then after that, despite being highly qualified, she was rejected from the State Department and other departments, basically for the same thing. Probably gender playing a role in that as well.
Yeah.
And then she was obviously in Europe still, as it was ramping up and seeming like, oh, something's going to happen with Germany here. So she opted to stay in Europe as World War II was ramping up, and also kind of predicted early on that America would not be able to stay out of the war despite trying to remain isolationist at that time. So during the Blitz, she was living in London and eventually was recruited by the Special Operations Executive in the spring of 1941, which, for anyone who is not aware of what the Special Operations Executive was, it was sort of like a discrete program implemented by Churchill during World War II to do spying operations, for lack of a clearer term. Covert operations, they were obviously like specialized in a lot of things. It was sort of like a precursor to like modern intelligence agencies. She basically like received the number, like just a number to call from an acquaintance offering her work. And she was like, oh, this is probably like some sort of ambulance job or EMS related thing. And instead it was this very covert operation. And they ended up being so impressed with her that they were like, yeah, we will train you further. So they trained her in how to use weapons. They trained her in the art of sabotage, espionage, like disguise. And we're like, cool, you're an operative with us now. So she's an American working for this British intelligence agency.
Wow. I mean, she must have seemed very useful to them because she spoke all these languages.
That was probably most of what it was. That and her, despite shooting herself in the foot, she did have some background with hunting. So I'm assuming there was at least a little bit of like, you can be out in the field. And also, you speak multiple languages evidently very well.
She knows how to handle a gun, except for that one time. And
except that one time.
Except for that one time.
Yeah. But, she's not in the woods anymore. She's in the urban environment. So less hazards to trip on.
Right.
Theoretically. But it's interesting. She operated under a bunch of different code names. One of them was Germain, another identity, or maybe the same one. It wasn't entirely clear which names were associated with which cover identities. But the big one was that she was pretending to be a correspondent for the New York Post. And under that guy, she went to Vichy, France in August 1941. And she had like journalistic credentials and they let her in. And then when she got there, she established sort of like a underground operation headquarters in Lyon, which is the second largest city in France. Again, operating under multiple code names. Two of the other ones were Marie and Diane. And there she basically just built like a network of contacts. And that was everyone from like farmers to priests to shopkeepers to just people who sympathized with the resistance. She also coordinated with the Pat O'Leary escape line, among which I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Just a code name for one of the various escape lines that went throughout Europe to get like resistance people out or like people who are potentially being persecuted.
Did it go to Ireland?
Maybe.
Pat O'Leary seems like a very Irish.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. The Pat O'Leary line was one of many escape and evasion networks in the Netherlands, Belgium, and France. Other ones were called the Comet Line and the Shelburne Escape Line. But it does not specify anything about why was it named this? Pat O'Leary was the pseudonym of Albert Garis. Garis, yeah. That was a much better pronunciation. So yeah. But yeah, there were multiple escape lines to help people get out of Nazi-occupied territory. And so she coordinated with one of them and established safe houses from Lyon to the Spanish border via Toulouse and Perpignan. Throughout all this, she was forging documents, organizing guides, managing finances for anti-Nazi groups, and helped evacuate more than 100 Allied soldiers and airmen personally. But there were, throughout all of these escape lines, I think the total number was like 7,000 Allied troops or sympathizers. Also interesting, of the more than 400 special operations executives sent to France, 25% of them did not return.
Oh, wow.
So
stakes were
just
high.
to sort of, to highlight how genuinely dangerous this was. But she, despite being like a master of disguise, was not able to completely avoid detection for long. By November of 1942, a French informant and a priest named Abbé Robert Alèche began to suspect that she was, helping the resistance. And around the same time, someone named Klaus Barbie, who was a Nazi or Gestapo leader known as the Butcher of Lyon.
Oh, yeah. His name sounds familiar for some reason. I feel like we must have something on the site related to him.
He was kind of a big deal and a really bad dude. It kind of goes without saying when he's a Nazi, but he arrives and he was like it was like his mission to find Virginia Hall.
Wow. Do you know if it was mostly men in the SOE? Like, would she have stood out to like the Gestapo, for example, for being a woman spy?
I don't know. I think it was a fairly mixed bag, and I think probably because women would have had a tactical advantage in terms of espionage and blending in and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. It was like a cat and mouse game, or like she was the Joker to his Batman. But I don't want to make him the good guy in the analogy,
right?
But yeah, I mean, just sort of that like secret, like didn't know her real name, didn't know who she was, just knew she was causing problems, and he was like, I'm gonna find her. So after that November 1942 little slip up, she fled to Spain and famously radioed to London. Cuthbert is giving me trouble.
Oh, her leg.
Yeah, the leg. Cuthbert's giving me trouble. They misinterpreted whatever that meant and replied, if Cuthbert is giving you difficulty, have him eliminated.
Was she trying to like give them like a code word and they just didn't understand?
I think she was just complaining about her leg.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. No, I think she was just like, it's kind of hard to move this quickly with this wooden leg.
Oh, and they were like, kill whoever that guy is.
Yeah. They were like, whoever that guy is, get rid of him. And I was like, just my leg.
I see.
When she arrived in Spain, too, there were more problems. She technically arrived illegally, and that led to a brief stint in prison. But she was able to make contact with American officials who were in Barcelona to secure her release, after which the SOE now considered her compromised. But she was like, I'm not done helping out. So she then joins the American Office of Strategic Services, or the OSS, in 1943. And then she gets into this bureaucratic mess of like, oh, she's a woman, so we're going to put her at a desk. And she's like, I'm a field agent. I want to be in the field. And they were like, sorry, but no. Eventually, she keeps pushing. She's like, let me go back to France. That's where I'm best suited to be. And in 1944, she landed on the Brittany coast near Brest under a new identity, which was Marcel Montagne, an elderly social worker from Paris. And they did a bunch of work on her disguise. She dyed her hair gray. She wore peasant clothing, changed her walking style, which is, again, impressive given the wooden leg.
Yeah.
I would also think an elderly peasant woman would be good cover for somebody with a leg that is no longer there.
Right.
So any like sort of walking difficulties or limping would be disguised by the fact that like she at least seems to be old.
But in reality, she was like in her 30s, right? 1906?
Yeah,
That's funny.
mid-30s.
Wow.
So good cover. Especially because like at this point, Klaus Barbie was aware he didn't have any really good physical description of her because, again, she was constantly in disguise, but he knew that she limped. The Nazis would refer to her as like the limping lady.
That is a good disguise.
Yeah, but you can't just stop every old woman with walking difficulties on the street and be like, are you a spy?
Right.
I mean, I guess you could, but not effective, really. This time around, she established a base in the Haute-Loire region of central France. I haven't taken French in over a decade, so
you're doing
I'm
good
sorry.
with the pronunciation.
Am I? Okay,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I did 4 years of it in high school and I haven't thought much about it since. In the Haute-Loire region of central France, her new base of operations, she recruited and trained 3 battalions of French resistance, which was like 1,500 men.
Wow. Boy, she did a lot.
Yeah. I mean, she went from being trained in like weapons and operations to now training 1,500 other people in guerrilla warfare, weapons handling, and explosives. Though I don't know if she's qualified on the weapon handling front, given the leg.
Yeah, maybe she improved since then.
Yeah. Well, it's been a decade of experience.
Yeah.
To be fair. She was also like pretty involved in the pre-D-Day sabotage target planning. Gathered a lot of intelligence on like German defensive positions, troop movements, and that eventually enabled the the disruption of German communications that like helped make the Normandy invasion go as smoothly as it did.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, she had close calls throughout it all, but it was overall like a fairly effective routine, to the point where the Gestapo was like, we will pay 5 million francs for anyone who
Oh
can
my
hand her
gosh.
over to us. It's a
Wow.
massive bounty from
Uh,
them, which is, it's very interesting to be like that sort of um, notorious, that well known amongst like enemy ranks, yet not at all.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Be like, yeah, we caught wind that there's this limping lady who's causing a lot of problems. We don't know her name. We don't know what she looks like. We don't know where she is. We know
Yeah.
she's out there.
Yeah. I wonder how much they did know about her. If they knew like she was American, for example, or if they like
Right.
all they knew was like the limp or what.
Right. Especially because she started with British operations, but was working in France the entire time. So,
Yeah. And being able to speak all these languages and everything, she was probably able to disguise her accent a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's kind of like, it's almost like talking about like Bigfoot. Like,
Uh,
for people who believe in him, like they're like, we know he's out there. We don't know where he is,
right.
but we know he's there. It's like, okay, yeah.
Bigfoot the spy.
Eventually, by September 1944, her operational area was liberated by Allied forces. And she kind of was like, cool, my part's done here. But she had a pretty extensive career post-war, albeit sort of marred by those same like gender-related issues. She joined the CIA when it was formed in 1947, and it was like her expertise on European affairs was really helpful during the Cold War. And so most of her assignments were like monitoring Soviet influence in Western Europe. She also helped to work on implement the Marshall Plan and European reconstruction efforts, but was relegated to desk work again,
Of course.
which is frustrating because she was watching these male colleagues of hers with less experience receive like field assignments and promotions that by all records she deserved just for the amount of experience she had.
Yeah, she'd already been in the field like very effectively.
Right. When she wanted to be in the field, it was like, I like would rather be out there doing that stuff than sitting behind this desk. Especially frustrating too, because she trained a lot of the people who were then getting these promotions and field assignments.
That insult to injury.
Yeah, they clearly recognized that she had the ability and like the knowledge, but they were like, yeah, but you're a woman, so.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. And even more frustrating, well, I guess to add on to the frustration, maybe not more frustrating, but obviously she's a covert agent. So a lot of the stuff she was doing kind of just went unrecognized in general because they couldn't really be like, by the way, here's all the stuff she's doing.
Right.
It has to be kept secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just beyond that, she was like a very private person, had a small circle of friends, didn't really like seek out the limelight. She did meet a man named Paul Goyot, who was a former OSS colleague and a French military officer. They married in 1957 when she was 51 and lived in Washington, D.C. for a time, and then eventually settled back in Barnesville, Maryland. She retired from the CIA in 1966, and then sort of over the years that followed, as more things were declassified, she got a little bit more public recognition. Still refused to ever be like, I'm not really going to talk about it. I'm not going to write a memoir, anything like that. She was like content to not publicize that stuff.
Wow.
There were several awards granted to her. In 1945, Truman gave her the Distinguished Service Cross. And it's the fun fact about that, she was the only civilian woman to receive that honor during World War II.
Wow.
She was also made an honorary member of the Order of the British Empire by King George VI. And in France, she received the Croix de Guerre. So all very prestigious honors across
three powers,
major players. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Very, very, very impressive. The fact that she was the only civilian woman to receive the Distinguished Service Cross is crazy. I guess she's a civilian because she wasn't in the military. And that's the distinction there.
Right.
But I would be like, she was an operative.
Yeah, but never for the American military.
No, I mean, she was the American OSS.
Oh, yeah, right.
For a bit. But I guess the distinction between civilian and would be the military distinguishing.
Right.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, she died in July 1982 in Rockville, Maryland. She was 76 at the time of her death, which is, it's a good life. It's a good
Yeah.
life, especially living through the war in such precarious situations and stuff.
Yeah. She lived through
Yeah,
both
she's still
wars.
honored today too. Yeah, the CIA does like annual awards in her honor. They have a building called the Virginia Hall Expeditionary Center. So in the end, she's at least received some recognition.
Wow. And yet, I think most people probably have never heard of her.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. I guess that's part of the life of a spy. I think we have some other article. I can't remember who it is, but it's some like code breaker who was also a woman who did like a lot during World War II. So you can probably find it. And she's also like completely forgotten. Elizabeth Friedman, World War II code breaker. She did a lot of like, yeah, her work brought down like gangsters and Nazis, but no one really remembers her either for sort of the same reasons. It's just like this work was done in secret. So
right. And then, yeah, you declassify it and eventually time passes. But then if it's a name you've never heard before, you're kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know what that is. I don't know who that is. So even though they're handing out the Virginia Hall Award every year, you're like, who?
right. I had heard the name before. I didn't know the details of like what she did or that like she lost her leg or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story. I wish there were any, I wish she had done like long form interviews.
I know, to give her like
so that we could
side
get
of
some
it.
like quotes. Yeah.
There apparently was a movie about her called A Call to Spy in 2019.
How'd that perform?
It received positive reviews. I think it was British. There's another movie project in development called A Woman of No Importance, which actually I have heard this is based on a biography, which someone gave me and I never read, and then I moved and then I lost it. But
Oh, damn.
it's being produced by J.J. Abrams. So I guess keep an eye out for that if that's indeed still in production.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looks like A Call to Spy is on Netflix as well.
A Woman of No Importance comes out in 2025, apparently.
Hey, look at that. There you go.
Good timing for us, if in fact that date is true, but seems a little bit up in the air still.
Do they have like a cast announced for that?
Yeah, Daisy Ridley, Sean Bean, a.k.a. Boromir, Sienna Miller.
And Daisy Ridley is from Star Wars, right? Something to look out for then.
Yeah.
Good to see some recognition heading that way. That one with Benedict Cumberbatch that was about the code breaker as well.
Oh, he played Alan Turing, but I forget what it was called.
Yeah. The Imitation Game over a decade ago. Wow. 2014. Geez.
It's like, I feel like Hollywood's always like, oh, we don't have any ideas for original movies, but there's so many incredible stories just like from history. Maybe I'm biased as someone who loves history, but I don't
those
know.
movies tend to perform really well when they're done. I mean, when they're done well, but
they're done well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know, Dunkirk was a pretty big deal. The Imitation Game. I think The Imitation Game won Best Screenplay at the Oscars. So, yeah. But I also understand that, yeah, maybe the average, the average blockbuster moviegoer, like the person who's going out to see Superman on a Friday night, maybe isn't going to see The Imitation Game as well.
True.
Oppenheimer was a huge deal, though.
I did see Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Not a very unknown story, though, I will say.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of the details, but the general premise kind of sells tickets.
Barbenheimer. I think that helped too.
Yeah, Barbenheimer definitely helped. But yeah, it is tough with Virginia Hall because she never did any like major interviews. Like even the official CIA little dossier on her says she left no memoir, granted no interviews, and spoke little about her overseas life, even with relatives. So it's like,
it's pretty incredible. I feel like, I mean, maybe not. I feel like they would want to leave some record of like what they had done, not necessarily for themselves, but just to remember.
Let the work speak for itself.
Yeah.
Like they certainly have an official record of her achievements. It's just how she feels about it all is sort of up in the air.
Right. I would have loved to hear her voice about losing her leg and the wooden leg and joining all these different operations and
right, or all the bureaucracy and
that and who she met along the way. But that's too bad.
Yeah, I feel like I was trying not to, but I put a lot on her emotionally. Being like, and it was probably frustrating when these other guys. Maybe she was fine with it. I don't know. She never said anything. I would imagine it's frustrating.
It was probably frustrating to be like a field agent put behind a desk, but who knows?
Tough to say. But either way, interesting story. Hope everyone enjoyed it. We're recording this on a Monday, and that threw me off.
Yeah, we usually do this on Fridays.
I'm a little out of it right now. Yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed the story. If you did and you want to learn more about Virginia Hall or any of the other lesser known people from World War II who don't often get recognized, you can find that at allthat'sinteresting.com, where we are constantly updating the site with new and interesting articles. You can also join our newsletter there at allthat'sinteresting.com/sign up. That way you get all those stories pushed to your inbox. You never miss one. Or become a member at allthat'sinteresting.com/membership, which will also grant you access to our monthly bonus show, as well as a few other perks, an ad-free reading experience, etc. for just $5 a month. And it helps independent websites like ours stay afloat in these weird AI-driven times.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to us, if you have thoughts about the episode or ideas about other spies who have gone unacknowledged by history, for example, you can leave us a voicemail by calling 929-526-3029, or you can send us an email at podcast@allthat'sinteresting.com. But people have also been leaving comments on Spotify about story ideas and the like, so feel free to do that as well.
Yeah, Spotify is it's like a relatively new thing that you can comment on episodes there. Like within the past probably 7 months or so.
Oh, that is really new. Yeah.
But we've gotten a lot of really interesting ideas from people. We just got another email the other day about a potential episode idea. So I think we've said it every time, but like more than probably 50% of the episodes this year were just people writing in or
this
calling
year's
in.
Been full of audience suggestions. Yeah, the next episode is not an audience suggestion. It's a weird story about a vengeful pope who dug up another pope put him on trial.
Is this cadaver synod?
Yeah.
Synod? I don't know how you pronounce it.
Let's figure out how to pronounce it before the episode comes out. But yes. Yeah.
Yes, we will figure that out.
The next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is a very interesting. I know just a little bit about it from your editing of it.
Oh, yeah. Were you on the ideation?
Yeah, I was on the ideation for that.
Yep.
That'll be a fun story.
It's a weird one. Yeah, that's coming up. And otherwise, we'd love to hear some more story ideas for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And especially as we're getting into the fall, that's when we start getting into some of the spooky
season
stuff. So that's always a fun one. What was last year or the year before we did the really fun one? It was me, you, and Kara talking about Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
That's right. Yeah, that was fun. That was a rare Kara podcast.
Yeah, a little trio podcast.
Yeah.
It was a good time though. Those ones are always fun.
One.
I enjoy talking about like the paranormal stuff. It's always a little bit goofy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And there'll be lots of spooky stuff on the site as well. And spooky, dark, gruesome fall vibes.
All very fun. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe. Give us a nice little rating. Helps us out in the algorithm and stuff. And until next time, keep it chill.